Welcome back, everybody. Rock Talk, episode 14. I'm excited to have on the head women's bowling coach, Kyle Rognstad, with me to do a season preview, even though you guys have had a couple tournaments already. But there's always time to talk bowling. I'm really excited to talk about it. So first off, Kyle, how are you feeling on this fine Monday afternoon?
Feeling pretty good. Feel well rested over the weekend, but excited to be here. Glad to be participating in this.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the opportunity to talk to two of your bowlers, Neela Vandenberg and Ashley Harkey, and both of them were really interesting conversations, just coming from a guy who doesn't know that much about bowling, just being able to learn and talk about stuff like that. And I'm excited to do that again with you, just coming from, I mean, there's not a lot of bowling out there on the West Coast. It's not the same as it is out here. So just growing up in Illinois, let's start off with that. Just, has bowling always been a part of your life?
Pretty much since I was about 5 or 6. My parents always tell me the story. I never really knew how I started, but they always tell me I saw it on TV one day and I asked if I could try it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how it started. I played tons of sports growing up, but bowling was kind of the one that always just stuck with me.
Right. Were you a natural, like, right from the get-go, or did it take a little bit to kind of feel your way into it?
I would say I probably was fairly natural to start. That's kind of why that stuck. That was always the sport I was best at.
Yeah.
You know, I played a lot of sports. I was fairly decent at a lot of them, but bowling, I was just kind of always a step ahead of everything else.
And was it your favorite sport from the get-go, or was there something else? Like, what are the other sports that you played?
I mean, I played basketball. I played baseball for a period. I played soccer. I played volleyball for a period of time.
Just everything. Just
So
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Yeah. But yeah, bowling, as far as I can remember, has always kind of been my favorite.
That's awesome. I mean, I need to get out here and go bowling one of these days. Because what do you got? Have 5 or 6 just bowling alleys just right here in the Rockford area, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And tell me, what's your favorite one of those? Have you been to all of them?
Yeah, I've been to all of them. I would say probably Don Carter.
Where you guys practice?
Yeah, that's the main bowling alley in the town, I would say. That's the one where I shot my first 300 game.
Wow.
Where I've had my highest series ever, have been at that bowling alley. So that's kind of my favorite.
Wow. And is it just familiarity with it? Is that why you think you performed better there, or was it that's just how it worked out?
I probably bowled there more in my life than anywhere else. But yeah, probably that too.
Okay. How many 300 games do you have in your life?
I don't have an exact count, but
that means there's a lot.
It's
if you don't have it
over 10 to 15 at this point.
Man, well, that's 10 to 15 more than I've got. So that's really impressive coming from you. That's the reason why you're the bowling coach here. So how about you just tell me and everybody listening just a little bit about your coaching journey and what brought you to Rockford.
So what brought me to Rockford, there actually wasn't a bowling team to start.
Yeah.
I had got done with school, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I got more into coaching, more into, helping people learn to bowl. So I went through the coaching classes that USBC offers, and then I actually started interviewing for other bowling jobs. So I had a couple different offers, out of state, but I really wanted to stay in this area. I'm in town in Byron area with my wife. Our families are all around this area, so I really didn't want to leave. And she's like, why don't you reach out to Rockford University? There's been times when I bowled at Rock Valley that Rockford almost started a program.
Yeah.
So there's been talks about it here and there. So a couple of years ago, I reached out to the athletic director and said, hey, are you guys interested in starting a team, just to put the feelers out there? And they kind of came back and said we were. So it took a couple of years, took 2 to 3 years to get that started, but I just kept reaching out every year, kept following up on it, and eventually they kind of said, yeah, we're ready to get it going.
Yeah, that's awesome. You've had just a huge part in putting this thing together, and this is year 2 right here. Correct. For the women's bowling team. What was your journey like before coming to Rockford?
Before coming to Rockford, bowling-wise, I helped coach my old high school team. I bowled at Western Illinois University.
Right.
My last year there, I was out of eligibility, so I helped coach there the last year. Other than that's kind of my coaching background. But I mean, I grew up in the sport my entire life.
Yep.
So that's kind of
you've just done it. It's second nature to you, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about what it was like bowling at Western Illinois. I mean, it's a different area than over here. What was that like? Different than bowling at Rock Valley?
The main difference was, I mean, when I went back to school, I really wasn't going back for bowling. I was going more for my education and what major I wanted to go into. I mean, they just happened to have a bowling team. And for people that don't know, Western Illinois has a rich history of bowling. They actually just started a women's program this year again, but back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they had won 3 national championships.
Wow.
So going there, it's just a rich history of bowling. We didn't have as superstar of a team as they had back then, but it was a fun time, and that's kind of why I went into coaching, because college bowling in general is just such a fun experience. It was 4 of the best years of my life.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's helped you on your way to here, on your way to be a Rockford Regions purple, right? They're purple and yellow, Western Illinois.
Yep.
Yes, yep. You're still wearing the purple. There you go.
High school was purple too, so
just purple in your blood.
Yep.
Purple people eaters. There you go. So tell me, what's your favorite part of coaching bowling? Do you like the practices? Do you like the events? Do you like the trips? Just tell me what's your favorite part of it.
Honestly, I like seeing people improve.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things, seeing them put in the work at practice and then see it actually translate to the tournaments, to the lanes. We were talking about last year not that long ago, and having somebody on an all-tournament team that's finishing top 5 in a tournament, and some of these tournaments have fields of 300 people.
Oh yeah.
So finishing top 5
events,
is a really big deal, and I didn't expect to have one the first year, and we did. So I was really happy with that. The girls might not have seen that, but
right.
they don't realize how much that meant to me that they were able to do that the first year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you've had a couple. I mean, just to start this year, we're 2 in. We had the GLBC 1. It was about a month ago, and then the GLBC 2 weekends ago, and you've had some success there already. I mean, Neela Vandenberg and Ashley Harkey have both been on this podcast talking about it. How excited are you for the rest of just their seasons? And then you could talk about anybody else on the team as well.
Yeah, I'm super excited for the 3 returners, for Ashley, Neela, and Fallon.
Yep.
Last year was a big learning curve. Most of the girls on the team have never really bowled on sport shot patterns before, and it's a big difference between house shot. So learning how you bowl in those patterns, what type of balls you have to use, how you have to move on the lane. House shot, a lot of times people have their favorite spot. They stand on the same board, kind of hit the same spot, and they don't really have to adjust. Well, in college, you really can't do that. So you really have to learn all those dynamics of oil patterns, and that's one of the hardest things that people don't see is it's invisible.
Yeah.
We have an invisible playing field, so it's very difficult to learn that.
And you have to they've tried to explain this to me. You go a little bit more in depth on just how the oil patterns work, because it's different, right? Tournament to tournament. Is it different day to day at a tournament? Do they switch the oil patterns up?
Typically, they keep the same pattern, but there's so many factors that go into the oil pattern. So the main difference is between house shot and sport shot is house shot, it's basically the ratio of oil that's on the lane.
Okay.
So the higher the ratio of oil, the easier the pattern is. So a lot of times house shots are 10 to 1 or higher.
Okay.
Sport shots, all college patterns are typically under 4 to 1.
Oh wow, that's a big difference.
So the closer you get to 1 to 1, the harder the pattern is. 1 to 1 would just mean flat, oil's the even across the entire lane. So house shot, a lot of times there's less oil on the outside. So if you miss right, your ball will hook and still hit the pocket. There's a big flood of oil in the middle. So if you do happen to miss a little bit left, it skids in that oil and you still hit pocket. Sport shot's kind of the opposite of that. You have to hit a certain kind of area. If you miss right, your ball's not going to hook. If you miss left, your ball might hook too much.
Okay. Wow. Was there a specific oil pattern that when you bowled, was there anything that you liked better than the others, or did it not matter to you?
I prefer probably bowling on long patterns. Short patterns, you have to play a little bit more towards the gutter. And that's just a little bit more difficult for how I play the game myself. So I prefer kind of longer patterns where I get to use a little bit more surface, move a little bit farther left.
Yeah. So you're a spinner. I take it you spin the ball. Yes.
Correct.
Is that mostly what these high level collegiate bowlers are? They usually spinning the bowling ball.
Correct. If you came to our tournament this weekend in Rockford, you would probably barely see any bowlers that are not hooking.
Really, and then why is that?
That's just the way the game has evolved over the years. Kind of back in the day when the balls were made out of rubber or early resin, people just threw the ball straight.
Yeah.
But, to get the carry and the percentage of strikes that you want and the high scores, you really have to be hooking the ball.
Right. How hard is it to learn and become consistent with hooking the ball? Because, I mean, that's something just from my limited experience that I've never done, never been able to really master. Is it hard to kind of get to master that, quote unquote, master it?
It is pretty difficult, and just really to be consistent with it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily even mastering how to do it. It's just being consistent with how you throw the ball. If you watch a lot of like the professional bowlers out on tour, there's some that don't necessarily throw it the greatest, but they're very, very, very consistent. That's always the most important thing. I had that talk with Neela actually because
Yeah.
she works on a release and she kind of spins over the top a little bit.
Right.
But I said, that's the last thing we need to work on. We need to work on other things in your physical game, which will help your release in general. But fixing those other things and just being consistent, it's not going to really make a difference.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me. Let's dive a little bit more into Neela. Just tell me just a little bit about, because now you've coached her for 2 years, just the improvement that you've seen from her.
Yeah, I mean, she came in not being able to bowl at Highland. She went to Highland Community College for 2 years.
Softball.
Yep.
Yeah.
She played softball there. She plays softball here too. But just her learning the patterns, learning how to play the sports shot patterns, and just working on her physical game. I know one of her biggest things is she wants to work on a release. She wants to learn how to roll it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But honestly, with the way she rolls it, there's certain patterns that really help her in that way. So just trying to get her to understand that, as long as you're consistent, as long as we focus on other physical cues which make you more consistent, your ball roll's not going to be as big of a factor as you think it's going to be.
Yeah, that's so funny. And then her being a dual sport athlete, how is that with practice and stuff? Is it hard for you guys to navigate? I mean, her playing softball and bowling, especially when it's kind of at the same time. There's a little bit of overlap in the spring. Tell me what that's like.
There is a little bit of overlap, not as much because the games kind of start right as our season's ending, so it's just dealing with practice.
Right.
Right now, the practices kind of work really well because she's practicing Monday, Wednesday, Friday for softball. We practice Tuesday and Thursday, so it works out. If that changed in the future, that could be a little bit of a
dicey,
little dicey, but for the most part, she handles it really well. Being somebody that's done 2 sports, gets good grades. It takes somebody that's actually motivated to do those things.
Yeah, that's always great to have just people that you don't have to stay on. Hey, keep your grades up. Hey, come to practice.
She is someone I don't have to worry
right.
about.
That's always great. Let's talk a little bit more about Ashley herself. I mean, she improved from the first tournament to the second, and she's got high hopes for herself. Tell me what you expect her to do this season.
I expect, her, especially with Neela and Fallon, to be up there in the standings, to, raise their average from last year by 10 to 15 pins. I think they're easily capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Even at this last tournament, they necessarily weren't happy with the result, but that tournament was better than most of the tournaments from last year.
Yeah.
So that just shows their expectations as they're improving and getting better that, last year when they only averaged in the 160s, where they go to a tournament this year and average in the 170s, they're not happy with that.
All right. And what's it like? Because, Fallon has been also improving, but then just using last tournament as an example, Neela and Ashley were 2 pins apart. I mean, how helpful is it to have somebody that is so close to you and just to compete with on your own team?
Yeah, I know there's a little competition kind of between them. They want to be the one that finishes the highest on the team. They want to be that person that's in the anchor position, that's taking the last shot, that's bowling the 10th frame when we bowl Baker games.
Right.
They want to have that, so I think it's good to have people that are really close to you and kind of on your skill level.
Right, that's going to push you, right?
Exactly.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about your strategy. I mean, do you set who's bowling in what spot in the Baker games? Tell me just a little bit about what that's like, as from the coaching perspective.
So in the Baker games, that's where somebody is bowling the 1st and 6th frame, another bowler's bowling 2 and 7, 3 and 8, and so on. So there's a couple different strategies. There's 2 different strategies that most college bowlers use, or most college coaches use. The first one is where you put your first bowler, you want that to be the person that is going to probably get you a spare.
Yeah.
They're maybe not your best bowler, but they're most consistent at filling the frame, either getting a strike or spare. Mm-hmm. You want to start out your game really strong. A lot of teams may have the person that's kind of struggling the most, who's not doing as well that day, to be their second bowler.
Okay.
And then it would go 3, 4, 5 based on who they think has the best shot at that day.
Yeah.
Some teams do it the opposite. I've heard of teams where kind of just they don't say, well, we don't want our spare shooter. We would prefer to have our person that's maybe struggling the most frame 1 and just kind of go up from there.
Okay.
That way, you could string strikes more together and you could potentially have your highest score.
Okay.
I kind of lean more towards that direction, but sometimes I switch it up just because.
Just to see.
You need it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do the same thing every time. I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing every time, expecting a different result, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And on Sundays, we bowl 16 Baker games, and you could switch it up every game.
Every game. You can. And do you usually do that?
Depending, sometimes.
Just on how it's
going.
Yeah,
it just really depends.
Yeah.
Depends on the tournament.
Okay. Yeah, that's super helpful. I've been wondering about these Baker games, and I mean, you guys have had some success doing it as well, just throughout the season. You were fourth out of 9 teams at the GLBC 1, fifth out of 10 at the GLBC 2. Tell me a little bit about what the Leatherneck Classic is going to be like this weekend here in Rockford. It's going to be a much bigger tournament, right?
Correct. So they kind of have tier rankings for tournaments. Leatherneck is the biggest tier 2 tournament in the country.
Wow.
It is hosted by my alma mater, Western Illinois. The Leathernecks, they just don't have bowling alleys in the area where Western is, where they can host this tournament. But it fills up immediately. Once they send out registration for this tournament, the girls' side was filled within about an hour.
Wow.
So I have to be right there on my computer,
You have
ready
to
go to sign up to get
for
into this tournament. But it's the biggest tier 2 of the tournament. There's so many top 10 teams in the country that are going to be at this tournament, so it's going to really show how much we've improved.
Yeah,
if we can kind of climb up there in the standings.
So how many total teams do you think are going to be there?
The girls' side, Cherry Bowl. There's probably, with JV teams too, there's probably like 40.
Wow. And then men's side, same thing, or more? Would there be more on the men's side?
There might even be more on the men's side.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, we're using 3 or 4 different bowling alleys in town for the tournament.
Wow, I didn't even realize that. That's going to be great. Where are you guys? Are you guys going to be at the same spot, or do you guys move day to day?
Correct. We'll be at Cherry Bowl both days.
Both days, you guys will be there. Everybody go out and support at the Leatherneck Classic this weekend at the Cherry Bowl. That'll be really fun. I want to get out there and just absorb just a big college tournament, something that I've never really been to before. I'm excited for you guys.
If you've never seen it, it's definitely an experience. It's not what people would expect.
Really? And what about that is not what people would expect?
I don't think people expect how many people there are going to be in a bowling alley. I don't think they realize how demanding bowling is, especially at the collegiate, but then again even the pro level. If you go out for yourself and bowl a couple games, you're like, this isn't necessarily a sport. But those pros are out there bowling potentially up to 80 games a week.
Yeah.
You do that and then tell me how your body feels after.
Yes, just bowling 80 games a week. I can't even imagine it. That's wild. Does it get loud in there, or you don't have to be quiet while people are bowling, do you?
No, you absolutely don't.
So does it get rowdy?
Yes, every team has cheers. You have cheers for when you leave pins and you're going to pick up a spare. You have cheers for when you pick up spares. Normally teams have different strike cheers for each player on the team. So it definitely is loud.
Wow, that's really exciting, and I'm excited about you guys getting to experience that again right here in Rockford this weekend. Just a couple more questions for you. Want to be respectful of your time. Tell me, what's your goal for this season? Do you have individual goals for the girls, and then just give me like an overarching team goal just for this 2025-26 season?
The team goal for this year is to make it to sectionals.
Okay.
Last year we were a little bit off of that, but if we could sneak into sectionals, which is the top 80 teams in the country, that's kind of the next step towards where we want to go. And that's difficult to do. I mean, I know teams that have been around for 20, 25 years, and they've never made it past sectionals.
Yeah.
Or made it even close out of sectionals. So that's really the goal moving forward, is just continue to make those small steps until we get where we want to be.
Yeah, and where are you guys, because is that ranking throughout the season? Like, where would you guys stand, you think, like today?
We're around 80th, I would probably say today, but that changes depending on how many tournaments you've had through the year. So it's not an exact science until towards the end of the season. Then you really know kind of where you stand. You really know when it coming down to the wire, you're really going to know what you need to do to get there. Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. I think you guys have a shot. I mean, you guys have a couple bowlers who are really improving. And one last thing, just about the players on your team. Is there anybody who's bowling for the first time this year that you're really excited about?
I would say Janiyah.
Yeah.
Janiyah is one of our freshmen. She's from Chicago area, and she takes advice really, really well.
Yeah.
And can implement
She's
it
coachable.
really quickly.
Yeah.
Very, very quickly. One of the first days of practice, I'm like, this is what we're going to work on. I want you to work on this. It's going to take a while to get the hang of it. And within 2 attempts, she was already doing it.
She had mastered it.
Yeah. Wow, and that was pretty impressive. One of the hardest things to change in bowling is your footwork and your steps. And that's one of the things I was changing first. And I thought it was going to take a couple weeks for her to get the hang of it. It took
And
two attempts.
Just a snap.
Just snaps. Kind of anything I tell her, she's able to just kind of implement right away, which is really nice.
That's really exciting. I mean, it's always nice. I mean, just as a coach, being able, I mean, that's what you want, right? You want to be able to help these people. You say something to them, and for them to just be able to make that change immediately, I mean, it makes your job so much easier, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's all that I really have for you, Coach. Is there anything that you want to put out there, anything else that you want to say while you're on Rock Talk?
Just if you're in the Rockford area this weekend and you haven't ever seen what high school or college bowling's all about, come out to Cherry Bowl. We'll be there Saturday and Sunday pretty much all day, and just kind of take a peek and see what college bowling's about and support Rockford University.
That's awesome. I appreciate your time, head coach Kyle Rognstad of the women's bowling team. Thank you again for coming on. That was Rock Talk episode 14, the women's bowling season preview. Thank you again. And as he said, come on out, support the Rockford women's bowling team at the Leatherneck Classic at the Cherry Bowl this weekend. Thank you, everybody, for listening. That was Rock Talk episode 14. I'm Cole Weber, and that will do it.